Hey guys, it's Josh with Oracle Audio here. Wanted to bring you a video on something that I get a lot of questions about, causes a lot of trouble, and is actually a pretty simple thing to understand and work around. So what I'm going to do is teach you guys how to get the perfect kick and bass to work together every single time, because it's really not that difficult if you understand a couple really key concepts, okay? So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to load up a bass line, and that's what this one is right here, this little blue clip. And then we're going to need a kick sample. So on this track right here, I've loaded up a rack with some of the kicks that I like, just some different kicks there. And you'll notice they kind of have two main qualities. One is going to be hitting up around that 70-80 hertz, and the other ones are kind of deep, like 808s, that are going to be hitting a little bit lower. Those are really the two options that you have. So let me show you what else you're going to need. You're going to want to pull up a spectrum analyzer. So on Ableton, there's a great free one. You just click on spectrum over in your audio effects like this, and then you want to turn off auto. You want to set the range from 0 to -60. This just makes it easier to see what's going on in the bass frequencies. So you're going to want that on your bass channel. You're going to want that on your kick channel. I currently have it on a kick bus in case we need to do any splitting of frequencies later. Okay, so real simple. Let's take a listen to our bass line and see what is going on. And this is usually the first place that I'm looking to determine how I'm going to position the kick in the mix. So what I'm looking for is right here on the spectrum. I'm looking at the lowest, either fundamental or subharmonic, which is this one that's starting around 59 hertz. And I'm looking for the second, which is right over here about at 100 hertz. So in this bass line, you'll see that there's like a big scoop in between those two notes. That's where we're going to put the kick. It's literally that easy. So what you have to do next is pretty simple. If you don't have a kick yet, you just got to find one that is in that slot or close and then move the pitch around. So now for you guys, I actually have one loaded up that's already in the right spot, but let's change the transposition to where it was naturally so that we can kind of see what this looks like. So now I also have a spectrum analyzer on the master or the main channel, the out, so that I can see what happens when the kick and the bass are working together. And so what I'm looking for is a kick that hits right in between those 2 points on that spectrum analyzer. And I have one right here. Whoops, there it is. See how it's kind of pointy? A little bit on top of that first harmonic, a little too close to it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pitch up this kick once and see where that takes us. Let's see. Hey. See that? How it just gets in between those two little spots there? It's lovely. And that's what you do. Now you might be listening to this and saying, okay, we've got some sub frequencies at 60, but if the kick is hitting at around 80, then what about 60 and below? Great question. So what you can do is one of two choices. You can choose a different kick, something that has those frequencies, like, there's a kick. So if we listen here, watch the frequency analyzer, it's going to come behind that fundamental. And so with this one, I might even turn that one down a touch. Yeah. Now it's way behind there. It's obviously too loud. See how that works? It kind of mixes itself. Now in this case, if you were going to use that low kick, you'd have to EQ out some of this 60 hertz where the first part of that 808 is hitting on that kick. But otherwise, that could work. Also, coming back to this first one, more punchier edition. Kind of hitting up in that 83 hertz, that works too. But if you need more bottom, then what you're going to have to do is here. Let's just get a 4 on the floor beat going real quick. just like this. Right? And so what you would then do is let this be your main kick right here, and we'd leave this alone. And then we could bring in, we'll just duplicate that track, and we will bring, yeah, and sorry, the bass line's a little off time here. Okay, now let's listen to these with the bass off. There's a deep. And one that's up here. So now if we check out our analyzer, let's see what's going on. That's a pretty beefy kick. In this case with this song, what I would do is I would take the low end, yep, bring it way down. We just want some presence. Ah, yes. Okay, so something more like this. And this isn't even messing with any EQ yet. And look at that. There's really only 2 decibels where they're eating each other up. That's nice. Okay, now let's hear that with the bass. And so you can just see if I turn the kick bus up a little bit. You can just see how that kick is coming up right here in between that one fundamental, and then is just having some sub presence down here around that 40, which the bass does not have. Or at least it wouldn't if we had done an EQ. So we'll just use a stock plugin here. That's too sharp. Something more like that. And we'll put it in front of the spectrum to make sure we're not losing too much fundamental. Maybe that wasn't too sharp. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. And I think we'll pull that over to like 40 hertz. Yeah, there you go. So now let's stop playing these. There you go. And that's exactly how I would do it. Now, obviously, you're going to need a little bit more mixing, compression, EQ, but this is where it all starts right here, is having a mix that is fundamentally sound. The frequencies are not overlapping. You're allowing a space for each element there. That makes the dynamics, the EQ, everything else that comes later a breeze. As long as those things are in place and correct, the rest of it will fall into place. So that's my recommendation for you. That's my hot tip. That's how I start with mixing kick and bass. I hope you guys enjoyed this.